Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. I am TheFish, and I am creating this video to showcase my new map, Redstone Fortress. Now, the reason I decided to make this map was due to a post by Baron on the Team Liquid forums, and the title of that post was The Breadth of Gameplay in StarCraft 2, and it's a very detailed analysis of a lot of the issues in StarCraft 2 in ways that I think that we can kind of improve upon a lot of the gameplay in StarCraft 2. So if you haven't, go on Team Liquid and read the post. It's a very interesting read, and it got me very, very excited. I think that it's a great idea by Baron, and since I'm somebody who's an ex-Brood War player, actually ex-StarCraft 1 player, I really took it to heart. I thought it was a really good idea, and I decided to go ahead and make a map based around those ideas. So if you don't know or you're not familiar, these kinds of maps have a bit of an interesting feature. We're going with 6 mineral patches currently and 1 rich Vespene geyser. And what that's supposed to do is have less resources per base, and it's supposed to promote more expansions, more positioning and map control, and hopefully overall more competitive games rather than just 2 Deathball armies clashing together. So with that in mind, I created Redstone Fortress, and I was just on Battle.net and was spamming some chat rooms, and I got OpsZong to play me in a game. So that was very nice of him to do that. He seemed excited to try out the new map. So thank you to Zong for playing against me. And I played randoms, and I spawned as Terran. And he, of course, is going to be playing as Protoss. So, just to talk a little bit about this specific map. Come on, computer, you're slowing down here. Okay, so to talk a little bit about this map, you have a pretty easily defensible main base, and then you have this natural here, and I based this natural area on Daybreak. And if you look and you go down here, there's a kind of a third area that you can take, but of course this ramp is a little bit more open. This choke is a bit more open, and then over here on this side of the map you have another potential third base or potential fourth base, but of course you have to defend this large ramp, and your main ramp is closed off by some destructible debris. So we're going to have a really cool game in store for us today. Terran versus Protoss. It's not a matchup that I usually play. I usually play as Zerg, but since nobody really knows any build orders for this anyway, we're just going to have some fun and play around. And it's hopefully have a good time. So what I decided to do is I decided to open up 1 racks and then start working on my command center, and I start getting a 2nd racks down. Meanwhile, it looks like Zong, he's going for warp gate research, and he's starting to stockpile some minerals and some gas, so he probably will be expanding very soon as well. And I remember scouting this out, and probably throw down his Nexus after he kills that SCV. But in general, on these maps, you'll find that everybody expands a lot more rapidly, but the tech trees have been... In some games you don't see very much tech at all. In some games you see people doing things like rushing for Broodlords or rushing for Infestors. So me and Zong are both going to be taking a 2nd base. He's going to be throwing down a Nexus over here, and I'm going to be moving in, taking my natural and putting an orbital down. So already you see that you kind of have a totally different dynamic at the beginning of the game. Now, another bit about this map. If you guys get a chance to go check it out, I'd love to hear any comments or criticisms or whatever you have. The current version of this map, these minerals have been moved over to here, and these minerals have been moved over to here. I think it's just a little bit better positioning for those bases. They're kind of supposed to be kind of bases of the last resort towards the very late game, but in those positions they're a little bit easier to take. So anyway, back to the game at hand. I'm adding on 2 more barracks, and back at home, Johnny's going to be adding on the Twilight Council and a couple more gateways, so he's going to be on 3 gate now. And I believe that 3 gateways is about the most you can support off one base, although it's completely untested at this point. So like I said, nobody knows any really build orders for this yet. But well, let's try and do some analysis on what's happening. You see that the worker count's almost dead even, although I've got a couple mules, so that should be helping me a little bit get some more income. And yeah, that's actually showing on the Harvesters tab. So I think one thing about this map that I'm really a little worried about is maybe it becomes too much of an easy thing to get 3 or 4 bases, and that might kind of promote the death ball sort of style of play a little bit too much. So I might need to open it up a little bit, but in any case, it remains to be seen. I like to have some more games. Right now, as far as I know, there's only been one or two games played on this map, so still remains to be seen what's going to be happening. So Zong is doing something interesting here. He's going for charge lots, and he does have a single stalker, but it looks like he's going to be teching up pretty quickly towards High Templar. A good choice considering that he's got 2 rich Vespine geysers being mined, and he's going to be throwing down a Robo-Bay. Now, when you have this many bases, Robo-Bays are good for not only just trying to get Colossi out, but they're also going to be good for getting Warp Prisms out, because Warp Prism harass becomes a lot more essential when there are several 5, 6 bases to attack. So both of us are just going to be continuing to macro up, to posture up, and I'm going to be moving in here to try and take my 3rd base. As you can see, the supplies are pretty even, and the incomes are pretty even as well. Number of harvesters is about the same. So far it's a pretty even match, and I think we should have a pretty good game on our hands. So we do see the first High Templar now starting to warp in, and this has been a concern about these maps. People have been saying, well, when you only have 1 gas, you only have to basically only need 3 probes or 3 workers to mine from this, and so it becomes a little bit easier to get more gas quickly, especially in the very early games. And I think we're kind of seeing that. How often do you see a composition like this where only a few zealots, but a High Templar and an Archon are with them? So that's quite unusual. Anyway, Observer coming out, and a couple more gateways being added on for Zong, and it looks like he's going to be throwing down another Nexus. So meanwhile, I've started to add on a bunch of Marauders, and I think we should have pretty good, pretty even so far. I don't want to reveal who wins the game, but I'm kind of wondering what's going on. So meanwhile, my tech has actually been pretty lacking. So I'm just now getting my factory. I decided to see if how much I can macro up just off minerals, and it looks like we're going to have a bit of an engagement pretty soon as Zong is charging across the map here. It looks like he's getting ready to engage, and TheFish is going to be taken unawares here. Good engagement by Zong. He's starting to work down all these Marines. So most of the Marines go down, but now TheFish is caught on and he's moving these units back into his base. But all of those Marines going down really hurt the DPS of the army, so I'm now going to have an uphill battle to trying to take all these units out. Now, desperately trying to micro, I get 1 Marine into this bunker. So I'm going to try and save this base. I'm going to try and save the SCVs by pulling them off the line. More units are being produced here, so I'm going to try and micro against all of these zealots rushing into my base here. It looks like only a few units are left for Zong, and another wave of Marines is going to be popping out here in just a second. So it looks like these units will finally go down, but after a bit of damage has already been done, now I'm catching a couple of Archons, but another Archon coming in here and picking up a bunch of Marines. So Archon's proving to be pretty powerful here. And OPS Zong with a really nice attack, but he's going to actually be able to retreat with these 2 Archons. But if you look, the supplies are pretty even, but what this has actually allowed Zong to do is to start to get a pretty big economic advantage. So behind that, he's pumping out a bunch of workers, and his income is catching up to mine, even with all of these mules, because I'm not mining from this base. So now I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable here, so I decided to throw down a bunch more bunkers, missile turrets. I'm afraid that Colossi might start to come out. Because, of course, I'm thinking in terms of a normal game, and this is anything but. So, anyway, to talk a little bit more about this map, you've got this sort of, you've got kind of two options. What I wanted to do was give the players the option to expand in either that direction or in this direction, which is a little bit more risky, hopefully, but if you are able to go in that direction, you have access to all three of those bases. So Zong is now saying so many minerals he's got no idea what to do with them, and that's because, well, we're not used to these kinds of maps at all, and he's a bit oversaturated at his third here. So Zong's now up on 50 harvesters, and he's throwing down a lot more gateways, so he's going to have a big swell of Archons. Zong's now going to be loading up some Zealots into his Warp Prism, and he's going to probably be trying to do some harassment with this. Meanwhile, I'm continuing to macro up, and I've decided to go for an attack here. So I'm going to be moving out with all of these units. And what happened there is I actually got scared. I saw that my forces were attacking, so I quickly hotkeyed and stimmed all of them, because I was afraid that the same thing was going to happen from that last engagement, where both our armies kind of met in the middle and I wasn't paying attention. So Zong's War Prism is going to be showing off some of my cool aesthetics as he's flying over towards my main base, and he's going to be dropping off a few Zealots right in my main, so we'll see how much damage he's able to do with this harassment. So already a bunch of SCVs starting to go down, but the Marauder spawning there is going to be able to ward away these Zealots. Now Zong is going to be moving in towards my third to do some more harassment. Meanwhile, my army's gathering in the middle, but I'm waiting for medevac support before I move out again. Now the Zealots are going to be dropping down again, and they're going to start to pick off even more SCVs. But a few Skin Marines are going to send this guy away. So some nice little harassment by Zong. As you can see, though, I've taken a supply lead, and I've decided at this point I think it's time to go for an attack. We're both on 3 bases, looks like, still, but as you can see, the harvester count is really starting to show as Zong's stacked up about 3,000 minerals, and he's gonna be supply blocked at this point. So now the medevacs are out for fish, and I'm at 1-1, but if you look, Zong's got a bit of an upgrade advantage. He's at 2-1. He's going to be chrono boosting out even more upgrades. So it's going to hit a good time in here, so I'm going to be moving in with this whole army to try and see if I can do as much damage as possible. So Zong is going to be consolidating his units. He's going to try to get a good engagement here. All my units are bumped up, and all these Archons are going to be doing a ton of damage. He's using the War Prism to even drop in more. I decided to split apart my army. Now the Storms are going to be hitting, and a couple of great feedbacks are going to get rid of all of the energy on those medevacs and really clean up my army. Now I've decided to stim in here with his following units, but another great Storm will trap them in between a rock and a hard place, and that's going to be the end of that attack. So really well played by Zong, and he's able to clean up my army without too much trouble considering how much splash damage he's got. Meanwhile, he's decided to go ahead and take 1, 2, 3 more bases. He's got a huge mineral lead, and he's now got the supply lead. So I'm going to be fighting a very uphill battle here. Meanwhile, he's got an observer right in my natural. So pretty good work here, and I'm just going to be trying to macro up again, but it looks like Zong is going to really be able to get ahead. I've never really been able to saturate this third base. That was kind of my all-in-ish attack, but another thing that I noticed about this sort of the 6 mineral 1 heroic gas is that you don't really have those situations where one person goes for the 2 base all in and either wins or loses right in that moment. You kind of have this sort of gradual eroding away of the lead or of the economy. So what typically ends up happening more often than not is that you'll have one person slowly getting ahead, and you can have those situations where you have a comeback scenario where one person he's able to actually get back into the game just by doing some clever maneuvering, doing some good unit tricks. So now I'm going to be coming in here with a drop to try and pick off one of these bases. And so we've got some more drop harassment coming in. So I'm working into a ton of zealots now to deal with this. It looks like the zealots will be able to do a lot of damage to these units. I should have picked up and left, but John's able to clean it up very easily. So a few harvesters lost, but nothing major. Meanwhile, Zong's now terrifying army with several war prisms full of zealots and archons. So some very cute play from him so far. He's now going to be moving across the map here. Now, what do I have to defend this? I have a bunch of 1-1 bio units, a couple bunkers, and medevacs. But not much in the ways of economy at this point, and he's going to have a bit of a supply lead for this battle. Meanwhile, another drop is going to be coming in at Zong's 6th base, but that's going to get completely cleaned up by zealots, it looks like. Meanwhile, Zong's moving in here. He's going to be coming in with a ton of zealots. He's going to be trying to focus down as many of the zealots. Some nice archon drops. He's going to get some good splash damage on all those marines. I'm going to be trying to move his army into a close point so I can take down some of these zealots. He's wisely backing off here. And now a great storm by him and a misclick by me means that all of my marines are now dead. He's going to be continuing to push into my base, working down this bunker. And it looks like that is going to be jammed. But it was a pretty good one and a very close one. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I think it's a really fun way to play with these 6 minerals and 1 heroic gas, 1 high yield gas. I think it's a really fun way to play, and it's just you know, it makes the game kind of it gives you the ability more to, oh, that's weird. It gives you the ability to really play kind of a macro game, but also to have to worry more about economy management, and it also removes all these kind of crazy all-in timing attacks, although that could make a return once people start to learn how to do it. So anyway, I hope you guys are watching this game. I hope you guys will like this map and maybe even go onto Ladder and play it. You can just search for 6M and it should pop up. Yeah, so hopefully this thing takes off. We can get some cool show matches, or, you know, get the community more involved. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed.